Hello, this is Mrs. Huntley. You are in Module 4. We're on Lesson 20. You should be on page 68 of your student workbook. Lesson 20, every line is a graph of a linear equation, and your essential question, since every equation can be graphed, how can I write an equation from a graph? So the last couple of lessons, we've been looking at having equations and then graphing them and drawing a line. And we know that the line, the graph of an equation is all of the possible solutions for that equation. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at some lines and see if we can figure out what the equation would be. We're kind of going backward here. So looking at figure 1, we need some critical information to figure it out. I'm going to say, let's just write slope-intercept form over here so that we remember that we've got our y equals mx plus b. And we know the m is the slope, and we know the b is the y-intercept. Okay, so y-intercept is where the line crosses the y-axis. Here's your y, here's your x. So here is where it's crossing the y-axis. That's at -1, -2, -3. So our b is at -3. We count our slope when we find another set of integer coordinates that it's crossing. So our slope is our rise over our run. So to get from our point here to our point here, we're going to go up. We're going to go up 1, 2. So our slope is up 2, and then right 1, 2, 3. So I'm going to say our slope is 2/3. So if I am writing this equation, y equals my slope, my m, is 2/3. X minus 3 is my y-intercept. That's how you do it. Hopefully you're looking at this going, good, finally a lesson that's really easy. I can do this. Let's look at the next example. Where is it crossing the y-axis? What's my b? 0, 2. B equals 2. Where's my next set of integer coordinates? Where is it crossing an intersection of two whole numbers? My slope, get from the first point to the second point, I'm going to go down 1. That's a negative move. And then right 1, 2, 3, 4. So write in my equation, y equals my slope is -1/4. My y-intercept is 2. That's how you write an equation from a line. So here we've got some steps. Where's the line crossing the y-intercept? This is your b value. So for this one, it's going to be a 2. Where's the line crossing another set of integer coordinates? We made a point here at 4, 1. Count your rise over the run. This is the m value. So our m value here is -1/4. Write the whole equation. Y equals -1/4 x plus 2. Go ahead and take those notes if you don't already have them. And then we'll move on to example 1. Given a line, we want to be able to write the equation that represents it. Which form of a linear equation do you think will be most valuable for this task? The standard form, ax plus by equals c, or slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b? Well, I think it's pretty obvious that y equals mx plus b is a little bit easier. We can show the equation in either format, the y-intercept or standard. When a line is crossing the y-axis at a whole number, the y-intercept form is easiest to write. However, we can use our properties of equality and we can convert it into standard form. So let's go ahead and do it first in slope-intercept form. So here's our b, and that is 1, 2, 3, 4. Our next set of integer coordinates down here. Our rise, 1, 2. -2 over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we're at y equals -2/5 x plus 4. So let's rewrite that down here where we have a little bit more room to write. Y equals negative 2/5 x plus 4. If I want to put this into standard form, and standard form is where we have our ax plus by equals c. That means I want my x term, this term, on the other side of the equal sign, and I want just my 4 alone. So how would I do that? What's the opposite of negative 2/5 x? It would be positive 2/5 x. Whatever I do on one side of the equation, I've got to do on the other side of the equation. So I have 2/5 x. Oh, sorry, it just got really messy for some reason. Sometimes my pen just seems to have a mind of its own. 2/5 x plus y equals 4. Now for standard form, my number that is with my x needs to be a whole number and it needs to be a positive number. So how would I make that into a whole number? I'd have to multiply the entire equation by the denominator. So everything's going to get multiplied by a 5. 2/5 times 5 is 2x. Y times 5 is plus 5y. 4 times 5 is 20. So I just converted that y-intercept form into standard form. So I think you can probably conclude by now that y-intercept form way easier when you're talking about an equation, as long as that it's crossing the y-axis at a whole number. So let's take a look at this next one. What I'd like you to do is work through this, answer the questions, pause the video. So you're going to identify the y-intercept, identify the slope, and then write the equation of the line. So go ahead and pause. All right, so hopefully you identified your y-intercept is -2. Your slope would be 4/1. So from here, you're counting out the 1, 2, 3, 4, and then write 1. And so if I use those two and write my equation, it would be y equals 4x minus 2. Go ahead and work on the next one. So page 72. Again, I'd like you to pause the video and figure out your y-intercept. Be careful here, they're counting by tens. So here we've got -10, -20, -30, -40, -50. And they're counting by tens on your x as well. So that's 10, 20, 30, etc. So go ahead and pause the video and identify your y-intercept and your slope, and then write your equation. Okay, here we go. So your y-intercept is here at -40. The next set of integer coordinates is over here. You rise 40, run 50. So your slope is 40/50. You can reduce that fraction to 4/5. What are the steps to finding the slope? You write your rise over your run and then reduce the fraction, writing the line of the graph, or the equation for the line of the graph. Y equals 4/5 x minus 40. Okay, and page 73 is next. Go ahead and write the equation and then unpause the video. Okay, our y-intercept is at 2. Next set of integer coordinates, you rise 3, run 1. So our equation would be y equals 3x plus 2. Now down below here, it says use the properties of equality to change the equation from slope-intercept form into standard form, where a, b, and c are integers and a is not negative. Now integers means that it's a whole number, positive or negative whole number, but it's specifically saying that a cannot be negative. So let's take a look here at what we're going to have to do. So y equals 3x plus 2. That's it, right? Okay. So we need our x term to go on the other side of the equation, right? So draw a line down. We're going to subtract 3x from both sides. And we'll have -3x plus y equals 2. But they say a cannot be negative. This would be in our a spot, right? Whatever's next to the x. So we need to multiply the entire thing by -1. Anything -1 is not going to change the value of the multiplying anything by 1 is not going to change the value of it. Multiplying by a -1 is going to change the sign. So we're going to do both sides of that. So -1 times -3 is going to be a positive 3x minus y equals -2. So y equals 3x plus 2. This is slope-intercept form. Three x minus y equals -2. Same equation in standard form. I know using the property of equality and changing it into standard form is confusing still. It'll get a little bit more comfortable. Let's move on to the next page and work on that problem. So write the equation that represents the line that's shown. Identify your y-intercept. And our slope here, the next set of integer coordinates, looks like they're down here. Our rise is -2. Our run is 3. So our equation would be y equals -2/3 x minus 1. Okay, if we're writing that in standard form, I want my x term on the other side of the equal sign, so I'm going to add 2/3 x to both sides. So I have 2/3 x plus y equals -1. But remember, they have to be integers, so I can't have a fraction there. So how do I remove that fraction again? Multiply the entire thing by the denominator by 3. So I'll have 2x plus 3y equals -3. Again, y equals -2/3 x minus 1, slope-intercept form. 2x plus 3y equals -3. Same equation, standard form. Okay, for number 3, what I'd like you to do is write the equation in slope-intercept form and try to convert it into standard form before you unpause the video and check your work. Okay, so I identified my y-intercept as -4, my slope as -1/5. So when I'm writing my equation in slope-intercept form, it'd be y equals -1/5 x minus 4. And converting it into standard form, I need to move my x term to the left side of the equal sign. So I'll have 1/5 x plus y equals -4. But I can't have a fraction in the a slot. It has to be an integer. So I'm going to multiply the entire thing through by the denominator. So 1/5 times 5 is going to be 1x plus 5y equals -20. So again, both equations, they mean exactly the same thing. One's in slope-intercept form, the other one's in standard form. The next one, go ahead and for the next few, let's just do slope-intercept form. Okay, so pause the video and see if you can identify it. Okay, so my y-intercept is 0. My slope is 1 over 1, or just 1. So my equation would be y equals 1x plus 0. I don't know if you remember this from, I can't remember if it was earlier this lesson or previous lesson. Remember, we don't have to write something that's a 0 as long as there's another term there. So we could technically say this is the same thing as y equals x. Because again, we don't have to write that number out in front if it's a 1, because there's just 1 there. So that would be equivalent to y equals x. And this one, go ahead and just do it in slope-intercept form. You should be ahead of me. I'm not pausing it, but you should be working ahead, not just waiting for me. Make sure you're making note of any questions that you have. If you're not sure how I'm doing something or why I'm doing something, put a sticky note on it, write a question out there, do something so that you remember to ask me tomorrow when we're in class together. So I think this is the last one that we're doing together. So again, you should be ahead of me. Y equals 1/4 x plus 5. If you want a challenge, go ahead and try to put any of those into from slope-intercept form into standard form. I'm fine with that. I will help you with it, or I will check your answers with you tomorrow. I just don't want to spend time on the video going over that anymore because we're already getting to almost that 20-minute mark. So please do the summary. Talk about how when you're looking at an equation, what are the steps for you to be able to identify what equation the graph is representing in slope-intercept form, and then you can even include the steps of what you have to do to get it into standard form. So I hope you enjoyed this lesson, and we'll see you in class tomorrow. Have a good night.